Rodney Terry has firmly taken the grasp of the head coach position there at Texas. He is now as a top 5 recruiting class going into 2025. That is, or 2024, excuse me. He has that top 5 recruiting class, getting Trey Johnson on that class. So he's got the recruiting down. We'll see how he does in the transfer portal, but he's done well in the transfer portal this year, bringing in Max Asmus, one of the top people in the transfer portal. He came out. He is now part of there, getting some other good guys. Zarek Onyema, Ithiel Horton, I believe is IT Horton is what they're calling him. Caden Shedrick, who got his first start last night. He's brought in some good players. Chris Johnson, also getting to see him a little bit more. Want to see Chris Johnson get involved in there. Had some really good plays in that game as well. Some standouts from the Texas Rice game that you may notice. Caden Shedrick, this is his Shedrick. When you say Caden, it wouldn't say Shedrick, it's Shedrick. I keep saying it wrong. I don't know why. But Shedrick had a great game. This was his first starting game. So he got bumped up to 20 minutes. He'd been playing about 12. He played 21 minutes in this game. And one of the things you saw, got to the free throw line a lot. He was able to get under and fight under the basket. Now, he's taking bumps, and I'm sure Terry and I'm sure everybody in the building is watching because he's playing good basketball, and you see him bump around on that shoulder that's still wrapped up in the surgically repaired shoulder, and you get a little bit antsy about it. But he gets 9 free throws in that game, which is pretty good. Ends up scoring 15 points. Plays a good game. Dylan Mitchell, rebounding-wise, gets 13 rebounds. A good game for him rebounding-wise. Shooting-wise, not so much. He's going to have to start to figure out that offensive part of his game a little bit more. But you still work with what your strengths are. He's a very good defensive player. He had 2 blocks and 13 rebounds. That's good where you're going to be at right there. He also had 5 turnovers. Turnovers are going to be an issue for this Texas team because they're trying to play the more upbeat, fast style offense. They're trying to play that new style of offense of you don't necessarily have a point guard who gets the ball, you set up a play in the half court. And if you're a good defensive team, you want to play this style. Good defensive teams really want to play a fast style of offense because it puts the other team, they miss a shot, and then you're able to come back down and score quickly on them. It really puts something onto this defense or the other team mentally that even if you stop and you miss the shot or the shot's not there, but you get down, now they're discombobulated because now they didn't score on one end, and maybe one guy's not happy that a shot went up or it was a turnover or whatever it was, and you're able to get in there and turn the tide around for this Texas basketball team, turn the tide and get a shot up and get them into a defense where they're not set with the guys they want on you. Get some mismatches. There was a couple of plays where you saw the refs maybe buy into when they got that mismatch on the inside, that the inside guy would flop and get away with it. You saw those. Some games you'll get those calls, some games you won't. You can't complain too much because you'll get those calls on the other end in some games too. But Caden Shedrick stepping up, playing that 21 minutes, getting 9 free throws was a big step. Dylan Mitchell showing that he can do, even when his shot's not falling, even when he's not playing well. He still had 6 points in the game, hit 3 of 6, so it wasn't terrible. He needs to work on his free throws a lot. I think they're still working on him on offense. And what's funny is you can watch him in all the preseason, and he has the same thing that a lot of players have, which is you see their preseason film and you see him working in the offseason, and you go, oh, this guy's going to shoot 90%. He's hitting everything. His problem is when he gets on the court and his heart starts racing, he starts pumping. He needs to recreate some more of that in practice, of putting up shots while your heart rate is racing, while you're sweating, while you're running, doing all that, getting that shot. It's just a very different shot than setting up, standing still, and taking a shot. Now, that's great for form, but you need to train your body to get the form shot in and shot out. It's just a difficult thing to do. It takes time. I'm sure they're working on him with that as the season continues on. But he played a good game and played really good defensively as well. Max Asmus, it's going to be a long season. He goes 3 of 6 from 3, and he takes some threes from pretty far out. If you have not been watching the games, the first Texas game you watch, if you have not watched them, there will be a shot that he puts up that you will immediately go, what is he doing? But that's what Max Asmus, that's what these younger players now are starting to do after Steph Curry, after Dame Lillard, and those guys before them came out and were really setting the tone by taking long threes. And just when you hit them, it kills a defense, because what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to get on you? 4 or 5 feet behind the 3-point line. And once they do, you're wide open, because even if someone else steps over, you've got 10 passes. You've got so much you got going on. So it's something. He still shot 5 for 9. He shot 50% from 3. So you can't get too mad at him taking those crazy shots. It's just going to be a process for everyone at Texas to learn that it's okay that Max Abmas is taking those shots. Another good sign. Tyrese Hunter, 3 for 5 from 3 in that game. 6 for 8 shooting. 3 for 4 field goals. Looked much better. 4 assists, 1 turnover. Looked much better for Tyrese Hunter. Now it's a different game, and we know he's been streaky before. He did get a little banged up at the end of that game. I don't believe it was anything serious. Hopefully it's not anything serious. But Tyrese Hunter looked really good in that game, and that's a good step going forward, because the first 2 games, it looked a little bit of last year with Tyrese Hunter, where there was some issues that, you were hoping to be able to work through. You were hoping that Tyrese Hunter was kind of going to finally get through, and some of it's just yips because he can shoot. He looked really good, and hopefully this will spawn him playing even more and more consistent basketball as the season goes on. If you want to see him get some more of these non-conference games, some of the easier games, get his rhythm going a little bit better, especially at the Moody Center, especially at home. Get that feeling, get that comfort back for Tyrese Hunter, because if he's hitting shots, it makes this Texas team a whole nother level of team, because now you have Max Abmas, now you have a Tyrese Hunter that can hit out there, and IT Hunter can go out there and hit some big shots. We know he can play. IT Hunter is going to have to learn how to play a little bit better defense. He defensively, he's missing on some. This Texas team as a whole is going to have to learn how to play combined defense, and I think Max Abmas, he does well at it, but I think as a whole, these guys that came from schools that weren't playing at this level, once they get to Big 12 play and they see the intensity and the players are playing, take that step up, you're going to see the holes in the defense show out even more. So it's going to be a process getting the new guys integrated as a team defensively. And IT Hunter is going to be a big one. If he can stay playing at a high level defensively, if he cannot be a glaring spot that everyone attacks him and tries to get mismatches and just run screens to get on Horton, that guy's going to be really good for Texas this year. But he has to be good enough defensively that he does not become a liability, that he needs to hit enough threes to make up for that. That's where he needs to get his game to. But a good game from him, good game from Onyema, played pretty well in there. Brock Cunningham, it was the Jorts game last night, so Brock Cunningham was supposed to be featured. He played 30 minutes in that game, had 8 points, played really well, 2 blocks in there as well, 3 assists. A couple things that Texas is going to have to work on. One, we talked a little bit earlier. They had 11 turnovers. A lot of those were early. A lot of those were early turnovers. Rodney Terry had said he wanted no more than 10 turnovers in that game. You got up to 11. You have to figure that out. Dylan Mitchell and Max Abmas were kind of getting off of their feet before they knew where they were going. Those 2 guys combined for 9 turnovers. I'm sorry, they had 16 turnovers. 16 turnovers in that game. And 9 of those were coming from Dylan Mitchell and Max Abmas. And if you have 16 turnovers, you want to be at 10, you're a little bit over that. And those 2 guys were the big pieces of that. Driving to the paint, which is good, but then not paying attention to where the guys were at, not knowing the offense well enough to know where their balls, where they can throw, and not knowing where the defense was. There was one play I'll give Dylan Mitchell that he went in and drove, and a guy basically got lost on a defender and was completely out of position defensively and was trying to get back to his guy, and Dylan Mitchell threw where there should not have been a guy, but he was lost as a defender, and he gets a pick there. But you have to have that awareness on the court. That will come with time. The team will feel a little bit better, but they need to get those turnovers down is one thing for Texas basketball. Another issue, they need to control points in the paint. Rice did not kill them in points in the paint, but 28 points in the paint for a team that is undersized like Rice is, you need to stop that points in the paint a little bit more. Some of those were easy drives where a guy just missed an assignment on a switch and got blown past. You're going to need to clean up that part of the game to get it a little bit better. 28 points in the paint is not a killer, but it's something that you're going to need to fix as this Texas season continues on, is you're going to need to be able to clean up those points in the paint. You're going to need that rim protector. Dylan Dessou coming back, hopefully, for Big 12 play will be a big help into that because then you will either have basically Shedrick or Dessou, and then Mitchell will also be on there. They were pulling Mitchell out a little bit more, but you hope to have two defenders basically in the court all the time that can go up and block shots and stop points in the paint. That's going to be a big issue going forward. And the thing that was probably the easiest thing to pick apart for Texas yesterday, other than the 16 turnovers, they shot abysmally from the free throw line. That has to improve. I know I'm picky about it because I shot free throws. That was the thing I did well in all of basketball. It's a free throw. You have to be able to hit those. They went 12 for 22. You can't miss 10 free throws in a game. I mean, that's one of those things. I get it's Rice. I get you won, but you cover. You have the difference between covering in that game and not is by shooting a proper. You need to be shooting 8% free throws is kind of your minimum line where you need to be shooting. And if you do that, you're covering, right? That's it. That's where you're supposed to be at. So that game, you can decide. You can say Texas played well and did everything well. They just didn't hit their free ones. You got to be able to hit your free ones. It's something that you can practice on. It's something that's not that hard to do, but it's something that Rodney Terry and this team are going to have to keep working on as the season going on. Chan says new players from lesser conference, except for the big guy from Virginia. Yeah, they are. They're from lesser conferences. It's going to take them a little bit of time, but right now they're also playing against those same level. Like Rice was a step up from the other two teams they had played so far this season in the scrimmage they did. Rice is a step up from that, but you still have another step up. So they shouldn't be showing some of the flaws they are right now. Again, free throws is the one thing that I can't give you an excuse that it's early in the season. That's the one thing that I'm going to harp on because you need to get that cleaned up. You just need to clean up your free throws. It is what it is.